Be happy and spread happiness. Love yourself and love others. Unless we bring the change within, we cannot change others. If you ever sat in a plane, the moment the air hostess comes and they talk about in a moment of crisis, an oxygen mask will fall down. And then the air hostess says, please ensure you put the oxygen mask to yourself first. If you are stable, then you can protect others.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming here. So I welcome you all to our International Yoga Day special. Today we celebrate a practice that has transcended borders and touched lives worldwide. We are honored to have with us Shriman Madan Sundar Das ji, a long practicing Bhakti Yogi, who will share his deep understanding of yoga's ancient traditions and modern relevance and is a guiding light for many. So, sir, let's go ahead and let's dive into the enlightening conversation. So, thank you, everyone. So, before we start, sir, let us talk about your personal journey. Could you share your background and personal journey into Bhakti Yoga with us and how it has influenced your professional life?
Hare Krishna. First of all, welcome to all of you to this wonderful place, D.Y. Patil MBA College, we call it this way. I always get confused with the later part. I was here last year also. We had a nice credit-based course for the students. And it's always an honor and privilege to be back here in this room where we conducted many sessions last year. So I would say let's give a big round of applause for all of you to be part of this forum. At my end, I just want to take a moment to help you relate and identify. I've met many of your faculty members, dean and the director. They're the best of the people to help you and guide you. From my perspective, you're all at the right place. But now onus is on us. How do we take advantage of the right place and the right moment? So going back to the question asked by Mother Geetika, how yoga has helped me in my personal and professional life and how did it all begin for me?
More specifically, Bhakti Yoga.
More specifically, Bhakti Yoga, that's what we practice here. My affiliation to yoga or yoga practice began in college life like all of you. I was in my undergrad. I graduated from Vellore University in Vellore back in 2006, 2007. At that point of time, during my college days, engineering college days, I came across a saintly person who advised me to read Bhagavad Gita. I had a lot of questions about life in general. And I would like to mention that because anytime a question is asked like this to me about my personal life, I want to take a moment to thank this individual who actually guided my life. And it's very important to know who that individual was. He was born to a Muslim father and a Hindu mother, raised in a small town in Andhra Pradesh, grew up learning Quran, read Bible, and then read Vedic scriptures. He had a whole spectrum covered of ancient technology, if you want to call it that way. So when he began to answer with such a wide spectrum of knowledge, it gave me faith that this guy knows it. You know, he's not just speaking one-sided conversation. He knows. He has read about everything, all the ancient philosophies, ancient technologies available. Long story short, and then he said, after answering my questions, then he said, I have an advice or rather a recommendation. I said, yes, sir, what is that? And this whole conversation is happening in a bus. I, along with my friend, had gone on a road trip to Munnar, which is a hill station in Kerala. We were really jobless, aimless. We don't know what to do in life. So we just went to our college break and we were coming back. And that's the time I met this person. And he said, I have a recommendation for you. You have some very interesting questions. Vedic scriptures, Vedic knowledge is very vast. And I really didn't know what Vedic means at that point of time. Because like you and I, all of us have grown up in an education system where there is nothing Vedic. Even the word Vedic doesn't come. You know, whatever we know about Vedic is because of some parentage that we have got, some temples we have visited, etc. like this. And he said, I would like you to read Bhagavad Gita. And that's it. I said, okay. And he gave me that hope. He gave me that direction that you should read Bhagavad Gita. And that's how 1.5 years later, so close to 2 years later, when I reached America for my master's program, 2nd September 2007, 3rd September, I was signing the lease agreement for my apartment right next to the student campus. Incidentally, it turned out to be the Janmashtami that year. And where I was signing the agreement, this is what called as mercy. Mercy has no limits. Right behind the house where I was signing on the porch and signing the agreement, right behind the house was ISKCON's center, which was another townhouse. And they had a big lawn and they were celebrating their Janmashtami there. And I saw one American family come out from their home right opposite to the house where I was standing. And they were dressed in a dhoti kurta. Lady was dressed in a traditional sari. They had a son, they had a daughter. I'd never seen such a beautiful couple in my life ever. They were more traditional than what I could think of traditional. Being in America, born in America, they were dressed so simple and they looked like, welcome to people. I followed them behind and entered that property. It turned out to be ISKCON. I entered there. I realized it's Janmashtami, which I had no clue of that point of time. I entered the house. There was a beautiful altar where you had Radha Natparji. And right across the altar was a bookshelf where was kept Bhagavad Gita. And that is how my journey with Bhakti Yoga began on 3rd September 2007. I got a copy of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is entirety about the science of yoga. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavahan aham avvayam. Krishna tells to Arjuna, Arjuna, this knowledge which I'm telling you today is what something I delineated long, long ago to Vivaswan. And it is called as yogam, the science of yoga. It's an ancient knowledge system, and in a course of conversation, if I get a chance, I'll tell you what does this yoga means. It's an ancient technology for harmonizing body and mind, for harmonizing yourself, getting an understanding of who you are, and harmonizing the self with the supreme consciousness. It's a one-way solution for all the problems like that. And that is how my journey over there in America began with Bhakti Yoga. And how did I really pick it up? It was a pretty hectic lifestyle because I was a research student, MTech, a master's. Ohio State University, I don't know what's the status, but it used to be top 10 universities in America in those days, which means highly competitive, highly challenging. And somebody told me yoga means meditation. And meditation means there has to be some means, there has to be some technology. And they gave me a mantra. And that mantra went like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I remember, in those days, my lifestyle was I would leave for my research lab at 7 o'clock in the night and work whole night and leave or return back from my research lab somewhere around 6 a.m. in the morning, come and take a nap, wake up around 1 o'clock, prepare my lunch, have my lunch, then prepare my dinner, and 7 o'clock leave. So you see that you leave in the morning at 7, and I would leave at 7 o'clock in the evening. So somebody told me the first activity you do before you begin your day is meditation. So my day began at 7 p.m. So I started with this meditation that, okay, before I go out, do my research, let me sit and do meditation. And the experience that was created just with the 10 minutes of meditation, chanting this mantra, has such a profound impact that after a week I began to ask, if just by chanting for 10 minutes every day I feel so super energized, my mind feels so relaxed, if I can chant for 20 minutes, how much access to this experience I have that will have? And it was directly impacting my professional well-being. And not only professional, personal well-being. And that's why I picked it up, and gradually I got engulfed by this beautiful lifestyle of Bhakti Yoga. And everything else is a history. And I'm sitting in front of all of you now. Long, long ago, I gave that lifestyle back in 2011. And that's all is history. This all began.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for letting us go and dive deep into your memory lane and understand how did you exactly get connected to this yoga system. So moving ahead, let us understand what is the significance of International Yoga Day to you personally and in the context of management education.
Today's International Yoga Day. For some of us, yoga is a part of everyday life. for some of us who have been blessed with this opportunity to practice and understand this ancient wisdom, it's a day of great pride, because when you have a day marked in an international calendar, it creates an awareness about it. It is not a national yoga day, it's an international yoga day, which means now for the first time, people all over the world would have access. At least they will ask a question, hey, this is International Yoga Day because it's marked on everyone's calendar. What is this International Yoga Day? So, I mean, I see is a tremendous, it's a feeling of joy where I see many people at large would be able to ask, inquire, and get answers to what this technology of yoga is and how it can help. So, yes, this is a great moment of joy. What was the
Indeed.
second part of your
Indeed.
question?
My second part of the question is in the context of management education, what is the significance of yoga?
Okay, so which means all of you as management students, how is this yoga or yoga days helpful? It's a reminder, let's say International Yoga Day, it's a reminder of how yoga can pave a way or create an opportunity for holistic growth of an individual. First, leadership development, and second, in the personality development. This yoga has many aspects, which begins with self-awareness. It talks about mindfulness. It talks about emotional balance. It has many things that helps you connect and identify with yourself. What does self-awareness means? Self-awareness indicates to understanding one's needs, one's strengths, one's weaknesses. Imagine creating a leadership model where the leader by themselves knows what are their strengths and weaknesses. And if you know your weaknesses, don't you know the area which you need to work on? And imagine creating an environment and atmosphere where leadership is not only focusing on professional excellence or a profit, where leadership also equally gives weightage for well-being of everyone, which means empathy, which means emotional balance. So this whole yoga, the concept of yoga for management, or for management students, or for leadership, it actually creates an individual or personality which undergoes a tremendous growth, and it doesn't shy away of creating that opportunity for others. You do good to yourself, and you want to do and you share that good with others by being kind and compassionate towards each other. So that way, such kind of leadership is the need of the hour.
Beautiful.
And we should create such more platforms.
Absolutely. So what we have been knowing till date is yoga means exercise or something like that. But yes, yoga has much deeper meaning to it, and more specifically, well-being. Let's delve into the importance of yoga. So my next question to you is, sir, why is yoga important for mind and body? Like earlier you were speaking about the well-being, personal well-being. Yeah.
So let me put it more generically, what's the importance of yoga? What is the word yoga refers to? Yoga comes from a Sanskrit root word yuj, which means to connect. So this technology of yoga which Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita, it exists 4 levels. First is yoga of action, that is karma yoga, which means responsible yet detached action. That's the definition for karma yoga. That's yoga of action. The second thing, it talks about yoga of knowledge. That's jnana yoga, which means cultivation of wisdom, cultivation of ongoing education, understanding who am I and the whole purpose. Then that is called jnana yoga. Then comes the dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga or hatha yoga. That is called as yoga of dhyana or meditation, or yoga of concentration. That's at the intellect level. And the 4th level is yoga of love. That's called as Bhakti Yoga. Bhagavad Gita, which talks about yoga at 4 levels, is not a religious book. It's a life's manual. How do you become really progressive about it? So when Krishna speaks about this wisdom of yoga in Bhagavad Gita, his one pointed focus is to help you find equilibrium, balance, and sense of joy and success at 4 levels of life. At physical level, physical well-being. You have a lot of wealth, you don't have a good health, can you really enjoy life? So first is physical well-being. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasa karmashu, yukta sapnova bodhasya, yogo bhavati sadhukaha. So Krishna says how the practice of yoga can alleviate all sufferings at the physical level. So there are teachings for that. Then next is at the mental level or emotional level. Then Krishna talks about the one who's able to control the mind becomes the best of the friends. One who fails to control the mind remains the worst of the enemy. How many of you here have an experience with your mind when, if in case mind has decided anything, it's very difficult to go against the wish of the mind. We are helplessly driven by the whims and the plans of the mind. How much ever we may say, I don't want it, yet we are pushed into it. How many of you have that experience? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand high up. Everyone goes through with this experience. And similar experience Arjuna had, and he asked Krishna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati ballavadadam tasyam nigraham manne vayuriva sadushkramam. Arjuna said, my dear Lord, my mind, I have realized, is very, the mind is restless. It never stays focused. It always keeps on changing its position. It's very stubborn. What it decides would never let it go. And it's very shameless. When it has set its eyes on something, it is willing to break all the walls of rules and regulations. And he said, I can control the wind, Krishna, but I cannot control the mind. And then Krishna says, yes, Arjuna, what you're saying is correct. Abhyasena Kaunteya Vairagya Chagrihate. Then he talks about the yoga technology, how you can bring the mind under control. And to be frank, if there is any solution or technology which can really bring mind under control, where you can increase your concentration, focus power, there's only one approach or technology that is called as yoga. And yoga have subsets called as meditation. You may think, oh, all facts are based on Bhagavad Gita, but let me give you a scientific study. All of you are in the age of Google. You can Google it out afterwards. This research paper was published in the Journal of Brain Research. And this research paper was published by the neuroscientists from Harvard and Stanford University, where they had done a research work for 8 weeks, where there were 2 sets of subjects. In any research kind of thing, they will have 2 subjects. Let's say 8 students in this group and 8 students in that group. And to this group A, this 8 students were projected, were taught, and were asked to practice meditation for 8 straight weeks, which means close to 2 months. And this other batch of 8 students or 10 students, they were asked to live their life, but they should not have any yoga practice or meditation like this. This is a scientific research paper. You can go and look into it. The research on meditation by the neuroscientists from Stanford, and you'll get the paper. I know what was the research conclusion? What was the astounding finding? They found out this group A, those who practice meditation on an everyday basis, they were far better in handling stress. At physical level, I gave you an answer how yoga helps. Let's talk about the mental level. It allows you to deal stress in a far better way. When we fail to handle stress, our immediate reaction is impulsive. You understand impulsive? There's an outburst. Without thinking, we just react. Imagine now if you have a control, if you're able to handle stressful situations. It's not Arjuna had a challenging situation, all of us going to face a challenging situation or must have faced or would face in the future. This yoga practice allows you to deal those situations more amicably, I would say, in a more sober way like this. So helps you deal with the stressful situation. And then they found out people who do meditation every day, the second finding was they're far better in concentration. Again, it's a function of mind. How many of you here struggle with concentration? You feel like, flip-flop. When I'm in the class, I'm thinking of the movie. When I'm in the movie theater, I'm thinking of the homework. When I'm doing my homework, I'm thinking of the IPL. No, IPL is over. Maybe the T20 World Cup? Something is going on. How many of you had that experience? It keeps on making flip-flop. Please raise your hand. It's always thinking of something else, but never allows you to do what you're doing, isn't it? So the research found out that it gives you a higher concentration. And the third finding of the research work was, at the physical level, that the yoga practice can also help alleviate or fix your chronic sufferings. You have a back pain, there is a yoga posture. You have a breathing issue, there is a pranayama exercise. So physical, mental. And related to that is emotional. Now, what is emotional thing? Your healthy relationships depends a lot on self-awareness, where you have a sense of understanding of what I want. How many of you have heard in a relationship, always problem arises because of expectations? हमारी expectation पूरी नहीं, कितने लोग का एहसास है? हाथ खड़ा करो। भाई जब expectation में आप बात कर रहे हैं, you're not fulfilling my expectations. Hey, wait a second. This fellow doesn't even know what is his expectation. How would he or she know your expectation? That is self-awareness, where you get to know three things. What are my needs? What are my interests? And what are my concerns? And then you come at the platform of empathy. That is called as empathic listening. Now, because you are content and happy with yourself, you're willing to hear to others. How many of you find difficulty in listening to others? Hey, jaldi bol na yaar, time kyun khapa raha hai? How many of us have that mind speaking like this? Quick, quick, speak it up fast. Why? Because we ourselves struggling. How can I lend my ear to others and they tell me their problems? And then you come to the intellectual level. Yoga paves a way where you have sharper intellects. During the programs when we begin, we'll have some shloka recitations. It really creates a sharp intellect. And finally, at the spiritual level, at physical level, you have a healthy body. At a mental level, you have a peaceful mind. At the intellect level, you have a sharp intellect. At a spiritual level, you have a jolly soul. Satchit Ananda. Why a jolly soul? Because now you have an access or connection to something far higher and greater than you. This little consciousness is able to now have a relationship with the Supreme Consciousness. This is how Buddha defined. That is called as Nirvana. Where he is able to transcend matter and access the spiritual energy or access the spiritual consciousness. Similarly in Bhakti Yoga, which means now we are able to develop the relationship with the Supreme Lord, the supreme happy person, supreme in everything. And when you connect, then you acquire those qualities. And that's the reason yoga practitioners, you'll often find them calm, composed, peaceful, and happy. Well, it all depends on their depth of practice. But like this, I know I gave a little long answer here, but your question was like this. So I thought, why don't we cover the advantages?
Beautiful.
So if you're struggling emotionally, yoga has the answer. If you're back pain, yoga has an answer. If you're struggling with concentration, yoga has an answer. And if you're struggling with listening habits, yoga has an answer. And if you're feeling lonely, the only reason for experiencing loneliness is because we are not able to connect ourselves with the Supreme Consciousness. Our loneliness can be eradicated by developing our relationship with the Supreme Lord. How many of you think now, yoga covered everything? Raise your hand. Nothing is left within, yoga has taken all aspects of your life. Physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual. If you're living a life without yoga, something wrong with you. You got to be practicing yoga. Hare Krishna.
What a better way could we have, and that also on this day, to talk on this particular topic, and that too from you. Very beautifully you have explained, sir, about the importance of yoga. And yes, I do believe after your talk that yes, yoga is integrated into our life at various levels. You also spoke about self-awareness and mindfulness. So, sir, could you please share the perspective on how these practices are integrated into management and leadership?
Let me ask a question to all of you. What would you, what according to you would be the traits of a good leader? How would you define a good leadership? How would you like to see, let's say, a boss for yourself? What kind of person you would like to see? Please give your inputs. Oh, fantastic. Which means has a sense of compassion, has a sense of care for others. Now, this is what yoga does. Again, self-awareness. You can only care for others when you have learned to care for yourself. And that begins again with self-awareness. What are my needs, interests, and concerns? Of course, there is a little age difference between all you and I now, maybe a decade or two. But I remember in our times, we lived our life according to herd mentality. You have heard this word, herd mentality? My friends are doing it, I will do it. My friends are going for this movie, I'll watch it. This. We only just followed whatever the society did. And because we did what others did, there was always an emotional vacuum because we never paid attention to what I want to do in my life. So like that, therefore, if you look at the world today, Although we have got tremendous advancement, technology by our side, let me ask this question. We've got a great technological advancement. We are sitting in this room, we have a nice air conditioner, we have a nice display, everything, we have a nice avenues for enjoyment. You've got theme parks, cinema, etc. Let's go back to you, generation of your grandparents. They didn't have any of it, isn't it? Hot means hot, summer means summer, cold means cold. They had to live through with it. There were not many means of enjoyment or entertainment as you and I have. You want to watch a movie? Switch on or just open out your smartphone, you get to watch it. Do you agree or do you feel that that generation was far much more happy and content? Yes. Oh, that's ironic. You all have grown up, means you have seen the world, isn't it? Isn't it irony? This is in English you call as oxymoron, which means it's opposite. The world teaches us that technology is making our life more convenient. The world teaches us we are becoming more happier. The world teaches us we came from a Stone Age era where people were uncultured. The world teaches us we are becoming cultured and advanced, but you're becoming more miserable. It's going against the whole idea. And you sitting here saying, with such a confidence, all of them said yes. I wasn't expecting that. And all of you said yes, that generation was far much more content and happy, despite not having all the facilities the world has given to you today. What could be missing? Raise your hand and please. Inner peace, of course, that's the reason. Why inner peace is missing? I kind of forgot only what was the question. How did we, and I believe the lady here, you said about empathy, compassion for others. And that's where I talked about self-awareness. Teaches you to care for yourself. When you care for yourself, then you can care for others. And because we are not caring for ourselves, how can I care for others? Therefore, the world today has become more and more selfish. And that's the reason we have become more and more selfish. We had a joint family before. We are not even a nuclear family today. The rates of divorces are exponentially growing. So from where to what we have become only because of one thing, we don't have self-awareness. I do not know what I want all my life. So that's the first thing about your self-awareness. And second thing, you're talking about mindfulness. Again, as I said, dealing with stress, challenging situation is a part of everyone's life. Understanding and meeting expectations, having that higher, focus, concentration, control on the mind, is all part of the game, is all part of our success. Let me give you a success formula. Like all of you are going to study and all of you are going to go through an MBA degree. Are you all going to be at the same level of success? No. Hadn't been in the past, wouldn't be now or in the future. When we all have gone through the same education, and probably imagine all of you have scored well on your education also, in your exams also, why still only some will really reach that pinnacle of success, while not others? Mindset, okay, fantastic. It's the concept of fixed mindset and growth mindset. I'll tell you all that when we begin the program. What else? Thoughts, okay. Focus, attitude, happiness, consistency. Throw all the adjectives in your dictionary. I'm catching it up. All right. Okay, continue. What else? What defines success? Making the right choice in the shortest time. Because the moment you graduate from here, you enter into a very competitive world where you're not the only player in the market. You are the only one who knows how the market functions, how the professional life functions. It's about making the right decisions at the right time. And that right time has to be the shortest time. Now you go back and look back into the lives of everyone. Briefly, I'll tell you one case study here. Do you know how this whole smartphone thing started? If you should go through this successful case study, I'll also present in our presentation when we meet for programs. I was in America at that time. This is Steve Jobs, who envisioned the idea of this disruptive technology back in 2006. And how he got an idea of it? This is amazing. There was one small scale company by an engineer in some place in America. I don't remember now. It's long ago when I read about it. And this person, with a sense of, care and well-being for the society, he wanted to do something for the blind people. So he created a technology so that the blind people, just by their hand gestures, can communicate. This was the origin of smartphone. And Steve Jobs heard about this person. The moment he heard, he ordered. And that order got delivered to him through Amazon. And he saw the whole demo of it. And it was, you close your eyes, you press and touch here, and the commands will be dictated. And Steve Jobs immediately thought, this is what I call as success begins with making the right decision in the shortest period of time. He thought, if a blind person can communicate and perform functions by touching, how fantastic a technology would be if a person who has eyesight and can communicate and perform functions with smart touch. And that's how he started working on this whole smartphone concept or this touchscreen technology. Just this idea, which was not even his idea, technology created by somebody else. The moment he decided he was going to work on it, the first thing Apple did was acquire that company. And when he got the company within Apple, the owner of the company, until the first conference that happened in 2007, where Steve Jobs gave the presentation, which was a failure, the smartphone didn't work in that presentation. Until then, the owner of that technology even had no clue what Steve Jobs is planning to use with that technology for. So anyways, there are many successful examples like this. And if you look in the life, you will see it's not about scarcity of talent. It's your control on your mind, how fast you can make not the wrong decisions that everyone can do by default, but how fast you can make the right decision, like that.
Beautifully explained. So we have been traveling so far from your journey to importance of yoga, then to self-awareness and mindfulness. Beautiful. Now I'll be I'd just like to ask you another question. Like Prabhuji, you travel very extensively and you have met people of various cadres, kinds, and so on and so forth. So I just want you to let our audience know the impact of yoga on different populations, such as children, elderly, and other countries, nations, so on and so forth.
Again, as I said, yoga for an individual covers all the aspects of their life. Similarly, yoga means an ancient technology for well-being. Let's redefine word yoga. Also cater to the audience of all age groups. Let's little bit touch upon the teenagers. We all have lived through the teenage years. You remember that ups and downs that we went through, emotional ups and downs. We are undergoing physical changes and etc. And then you come into the, you're stepping into a competitive world. You're coming to 10th, then you're coming to 12th, and you have to face the harsh reality. There's a larger world against which you have to compete, which wasn't the case until 8th and 9th standard because you had a small size of class of which you are competing and taking part into it. So at this times, an individual experiences a lot of insecurity. An individual experiences high levels of stress. And in such challenging times, practice of pranayama, practice of meditation, which brings about clarity, which enhances focus, and which gives you a sense of self-worth, which helps you identify who you are, can really help you transcend the life's challenges. I'm talking about the challenges that we have faced. Do you remember the days when you were in 12th standard and you're graduating and everyone was asking, "Kaun se engineering college mein ja rahe ho?" How many felt that 12th, graduating 12th was a very stressful time? Please raise your hands. Everyone was behind your life. What are you doing next? What are you doing next? Abhe khana khao ghar pe jaake. Bolna band karo. पड़ोसी हो गया, चाचा ताऊ हो गए, दादा दादी हो गए, सबको यही प्रश्न था, मेरा पोता पोती या मेरा लड़का लड़की 12th के बाद क्या कर रहा है? और सबकी सिर्फ एक ही आशा था और इरादा था, IIT. How do you face with such a high expectation? And that tremendous pressure can really destroy your self-worth. Imagine somebody doesn't go to IIT. Elon Musk didn't graduate from IIT. Steve Jobs even didn't graduate it. And so much so for Microsoft guy, what is that old guy? Microsoft. Bill Gates, he didn't graduate it. He dropped out. So it doesn't mean if you finish your college degree, only then you succeed. So, you can't change what people have to talk to you, but the practice of yoga can really help you, cultivate that inner strength, and that's how yoga helps. And for the elderly people, this challenge we go through most part of the life. For the elderly people, again, pranayama and physical asanas, it can really make their body flexible. The major problem of ailments in the body as you grow, you can go and check with any doctor, is because of the stiffness of a body. The more the stiff your body becomes, the more prone you are to fractures and accidents. And in all of that, more is your spine. If your spine becomes more stiff, then you're more prone to troubled health. So with different asanas, you can perform, you can keep your spine and your body flexible, and that way you have a good health and a long life. So I see it everywhere, the applications of it. Somewhere, somehow, people have to know what yoga is, understand its benefit, and begin with the 10 minutes. You got a 24 hours in a day, isn't it? Let me ask you something. Can you give 10 minutes for yourself, exclusively for yourself, for your well-being? How many of you say yes? Which is 100% meant for you. I'm not going to ask for anyone anything, so you all can give. Probably you're thinking 10 minutes is too less. Well, let's stick to 10 minutes. Please take out 10 minutes for yourself and do meditation. I started my journey because I heard that if you do this meditation, it can really bust all kind of stresses. It can really give you a lot of mental strength. And that's how I got hooked up to this Bhakti Yoga practice while I was going through a lot of tremendous pressure in my student life. So my humble request to all of you students, for a second, rise above this identification with faith, identification with religion, identification with yoga technology to particular religion. Please see this yoga as a technology, as a science meant for individuals' well-being. For a second, at that level of faith, begin your journey, give your 10 minutes of day, sit down and do mantra meditation. We're going to meet soon again in a short span of time. When I come back again, I would like to know from you, did you experience? Let your senior batch come and ask them. I'll introduce some of your seniors who did that and who went through a transformational experience and change within them. So 10 minutes, if you do it, you really care for yourself. And if you skip it,
The purpose session was scheduled some days earlier, but then this again, it's on International Yoga Day. We are talking about Bhagavad Gita, we are talking about yoga system, and now I take this opportunity to introduce our course for our students. Sir is our instructor who teaches discovering management principles through Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhuji, we are teaching this new.
so as I said, your team here really cares for the students, where they don't just want to give you an experience of some professional stuff, but they also want you to cultivate your inner strength by inculcating this very important science of yoga. And we'll be having different ranges of topics. The very first topic that I would take for all of you would be leadership itself. But when you're talking about management, let's set our goals. Let's have the clarity, begin with it. And then beginning from there, then we'll go more and inwards, in an inward journey. So when you talk about this subject matter of discovering management principles from Bhagavad Gita, the many things that comes to my mind right now. One of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is follow your swadharma. Well, we go to swadharma. Let's talk about dharma first. Krishna again and again emphasizes Arjuna to, practice dharma. What is dharma? Which means ethical practices. At our leadership and management level, it's essential to have an understanding of ethics and to live and practice ethics. So dharma for all of us would be to understand what is ethical leadership. How to live our life governed by values, not instincts or impulses. That's dharma. Then Krishna talks about swadharma. Means Arjuna, perform your duty, which means we should become responsible. All of you right now as a student, we have to take a responsibility of our student life. Now how you become responsible today would be visible in your how you conduct yourself professionally, and that would be shown in your personal life, in your relationship with your spouse, with your parents, and the society at large. So Bhagavad Gita teaches about responsible lifestyle. Responsibility. Responsibility means our ability to respond dharma. Dharma, swadharma. Then Bhagavad Gita teaches about nishkam yoga, karma yoga. Nishkam karma yoga. Okay, let me ask this to help you understand this. what is the most stressful thing, or what is a factor which causes most stress while you're doing any project or any activity? What will be one factor that causes the most stress? Fantastic. Who said that? The outcome, which means result. Any initiative we pick up on, or anything that we do, Hare Krishna, anything that we do or any initiative we pick up, the very first thing that we set our eyesight is on outcome, the result. And we become so result conscious at times that we forget about our responsibility to be attentive today. If I don't do my swadharma today well, there's not going to be any outcome. So Nishkam Karma Yoga, Krishna teaches us how to be responsible and be detached from the outcome. If you work well, result will follow through. But if you don't work well, and if you just keep thinking about outcome, then you're missing out the opportunity to be present and to be living. Then Krishna also speaks in Bhagavad Gita about yoga. I have introduced yoga at large, about how it helps at physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual level. And Bhagavad Gita, or this whole discovering management principles about ethical leadership we spoke about. And something very important, I would say, it also teaches us or gives us the purpose of life. Purpose far greater than what we have created for ourselves. And gives us an opportunity to connect with the Supreme Consciousness. And the moment we are able to connect with the Supreme Consciousness, then we have access to the unlimited joy, as it says in Sanskrit, Sat Chit Ananda, unlimited joy. So when you begin to care for yourself, the care will manifest in the form of love and affection for others. So in that way, it helps in team dynamics also. Now you can help in a proper team building. And not only that, resilience and adaptability, because now you're far better in handling challenging situations and stressful environment. You're not going to come down to a failure. Even if I fail, I will rise up again and continue with my swadharma. So like that, this message, this teachings of Bhagavad Gita in the management domain can create resilience, adaptability, increase our focus, increase our concern, well-being, handle our team dynamics, and many other things, and of course, bring you to your professional results. Many things to be said about it.
Very nice. So we have been talking about, since now we have been talking about self-awareness, mindfulness, resilience, swadharma. This is really very important, which we could understand by you today. So, Prabhuji, please elaborate a little more. Like you spoke about resilience. So, it also includes mind management to large extent. So, could you please help our future managers understand the secret of mind management and emotional intelligence?
Yeah, the secret of mind management, as I said, the word mind management is very famous these days. Mindfulness, mind your mind, as I say. There's a simple thing, as Krishna says, abhyasena tukanteya. Arjuna, yes, mind is very wild, very powerful, but yet you have the power to bring the mind under control. So mindfulness means becoming conscious of the mind. And then mind management means now you begin to manage the mind rather than getting managed by the mind. You know, a mind is a tool for us to create our destiny. Mind should not become a tool to create an abusive future for us. Just like we have a technology in our hand as a smartphone, the smartphone has been designed with an original objective to facilitate your life, to make it easy. But when that same smartphone, we become addicted to it, the same smartphone, the same technology leads to our own abuse or self-abuse. Similarly, mind, when we are able to manage the mind, we can use the tool known as mind for our well-being and growth. But if we allow it to function on its own, it will only cause us disturbance and hamper our growth. And what was the second part to it? About mind management and?
Yeah, how?
And emotional balance, yes. Emotional well-being, I've spoken about it before also. Again, self-awareness, empathy, care, and all that is a part of it. Understanding one's needs, interests, concerns, and all of that really works out well. To give you one short example. Hypothetically, let's imagine. All of you are at the line of control, holding a gun in your hand, and the enemy army is right in front of you. It's a tense environment. It's a highly tense environment, isn't it? And some of you, not with a military background, you would be really sweating by now. It's right in front of enemy lines. Imagine even in that situation at Kurukshetra, Arjuna is able to express his emotions towards Krishna, and Krishna is able to express his emotions towards Arjuna. His care for Arjuna, so much so, they have literally forgotten about where they are standing. And they've got so much absorbed into the well-being of each other, where Arjuna at one point of time said, "My dear Lord, whatever you have said, I acknowledge and accept completely. And I'm so much moved by your words, I would like to know more about you, more about your opulences." Hey, wait a second, Arjuna, you have come here to fight. Finish your battle, go back at home and talk about it. He said, "No, I would like to know about it." So it's just the nature of it. When we cultivate the art of self-awareness, understanding who am I, this practice of yoga, it gives you that understanding of how to deal with your own emotions, and more importantly, how to deal with other emotions. And of course, that helps in team building eventually. All right.
Beautiful. Like, how do you envision integrating yoga practices into the management education curriculum to enhance students' well-being and productivity?
Well, the course that we have designed and your college have taken the step forward, I would say we have already integrated. And I would say, let's give it a time. Let's go through the program for all of you. I guess I've given a good enough introduction for today's program and how this course is going to look like. When we go through the coursework, through our journey, then I'll ask the audience, do they find it helpful? Do they see this yoga science integrated with their management education, helping them in a short-term and a long-term goal? So I'd say let's wait for that program to start and let's the student experience with it.
Great. So I have another announcement as well as surprise for you all. Like today we were having discussion with sir here, and we have come up with a spiritual club. Right. So we will be discussing how to take it ahead. And then although all those of you who are interested in voluntarily becoming the members of this spiritual club, sir is welcoming all of you. So we'll come up with a structure and then we'll formally announce it one day.
I'll just add one line, one comment on this club, the idea that our college has for all of you. What we're going to go through in our journey with all of you will be an academic journey, which as a part of academic curriculum, you'll have to attend to it. But when you talk about life's hacks, a life journey, it's not about academics. It's about more beyond academics. So therefore, we have thought of and planned to create a club wherein we can go into further subject matters and yoga practices beyond the theoretical sessions, where those who would be interested and would like to be part of the club beyond the academic requirements, for them, this club will offer their service. And what all the club will offer is services and opportunities for all of you. By the time we start the program, we'll have the presentation to show to all of you. And of course, you love party, we also love party. Party would be inherent part of the club. Okay?
Yes. Sir doesn't let us go without having a party. So, Prabhuji, my last question to you is, how can we become the agent of environmental sustainability? How can yoga system be the part of it?
The theme of yoga is environmental sustainability. I heard from my teacher on this subject matter once. On the similar lines, a question was asked to him. You as yoga practitioners talk about doing good to oneself, doing good to others. But what are you doing for the environment on the same environmental sustainability? And my teacher gave a very profound answer. I'd like to reiterate and rephrase him. He said the world that we live in is nothing but the creation of the world that we have created within ourselves. In other words, the world that we see and observe is nothing but the perception of the world that we have within us. So if you want to be environmental friendly, you have to be friendly with yourself. If your inner heart is filled with all the contaminations, gibberish and the waste, that is what you're going to create a reality outside. But if you live a pure life and if your heart is pure, then that purity would manifest outside in a way of concern, of well-being for every living entity, not merely a human being. There's a beautiful shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna talks about equality. There's a lot of discussion on equality these days. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmani Gavihastini, Sunichayava Sapakecha, Pandita Samadarshana. Where Krishna says the real learned person is one who does not see equality only between the species or within the species. Male and woman are equal, female are equal. No, the real equality is across the species, which means you see the equality and the oneness in the aspect of a spirit. At a physical level, we may be different. Somebody may have a male form, female form, somebody may have a form of a plant, a tree, or a dog, or a reptile. But the substance within all these forms is spiritual soul or is spirit. In that sense, having that understanding, so when you know that everyone is my brother and sister because we all are connected with the same Supreme Father, then our genuine awareness, genuine affection for everyone arises. And that is how a yoga practitioner in true sense becomes environmental friendly, because now you cannot exploit environment, because with that you're destroying the future generations. You're not only destroying the future generations, you're also destroying the lives of other species. Let's say those who live in the water, those who live in the air. So we become conscious. So yes, yoga is about environmental friendliness and sustainability.
What a better way could we have to conclude this talk show other than understanding that yes, yoga is all about environmental sustainability, and then environment is all not only outside, it's also within. So cleaning ourselves within also becomes equally important. Thank you, Prabhuji, for letting us know. Any closing message for our students?
Be happy and spread happiness. Love yourself and love others. Unless we bring the change within, we cannot change others. If you ever sat in a plane, the moment the air hostess comes and they talk about in a moment of crisis, an oxygen mask will fall down. And then the air hostess says, please ensure you put the oxygen mask to yourself first. If you are stable, then you can protect others. So my message for you, all of you, would be live a responsible life. You got a brilliant opportunity. The world of opportunity waits all of you. You're young. You have a lot of things to do. You are the hope for this country, hope for the world. Only one thing is missing, a responsible action. So if you take a responsibility of your life today, you will not believe how you will bring about the change in the lives of others. And the first person whose life would be changed will be I, which begins with you. All the best. Best of luck for your education. Best of luck for your time with this wonderful institution.
Thank you so much. And we thank, okay. Thank you so much, and with immense gratitude, we thank Shriman Madan Sundar Das ji for his invaluable contributions today.